Are you ever worried about legally protecting yourself and your family and your business? I know a lot of the online courses that I've done in the past have been around mindset, but on the legal side, they could never really give that information because they weren't qualified to do so, as same as with the accounting side. And so it's always been a big missing chunk of any online course that I've ever studied. And so I came across an online entrepreneur, Kelly, who's with us this morning, and it's her evening in New York. I was so excited to be able to get her on here for an interview and a live because I know that there's so many people that worry about this sort of thing, and they also are really interested in how they should be setting up their businesses and how they can better protect themselves in the contracts that they need to put into place. With that, I'd like to welcome Kelly Jones, the lawyer for entrepreneurs here this morning. Thanks for being here, Kelly.
Hi, thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited to have you. I've been following you for a few years and it's just been an ideal opportunity now that's come up that I thought I must reach out. So I'm so glad you could make the time and I really appreciate it for us.
Yeah, of
And
course.
the exciting thing is, of course, we're being streaming live to Facebook Live and we're also streaming to YouTube. Yeah, so we're going to have some nice eyes on the content today. Over to you with regards to a brief history of where you've come from and why you decided to do what you're doing now for us.
Yes, actually, I've been a lawyer for a while, I guess about 8 years now, but I was not always working out on my own. I worked for different nonprofits, then I worked at a private litigation firm. And then during the pandemic is when I actually started my own firm. Before that, I was actually using Instagram for fitness purposes as a part-time fitness coach, spin instructor, and stuff. I was connecting with a lot of entrepreneurs in the fitness realm that way. And then throughout the pandemic, I realized there's a kind of a gap for business owners and a lot of online business owners too, where they were not really legally protecting their business or they didn't know how to, or that there was even legal stuff to do. I pivoted my fitness Instagram to a law firm and just started that way because I already had these connections with these fitness entrepreneurs. So it just fit right in. And I really loved being able to work with business owners and startups, entrepreneurs. That's how I started.
We're so glad to have you because, like I say, it's been a massive pain point for us entrepreneurs to be able to find someone that actually understands us. Because I found that with your generic lawyers that in your local area, they don't really, let's face it, not many people understand the entrepreneurial journey, do they? And I guess we'll probably get to that one in future questions with regards to structure, but there's a whole heap of different things that you have to look at as opposed to if it's just like a normal business bricks and mortar setup. So let's get through to the questions. I guess the first question for me to you is what areas or countries will this content cover today? And can some of this kind of be cross-pollinated globally onto like I'm in Australia, so could the privacy policies or whatever be cross-pollinated?
Yes. When it comes to contracts and including like, your privacy policy and stuff for your website, that is generally the terms that go in your contracts, what they mean, what should go in contracts, that is fairly similar globally. The only difference is really what your court might enforce or how they might interpret something. And that even goes for smaller jurisdictions within countries over here in the States. Even New York might interpret something differently than California or something. But as far as what goes in your contracts, why you need it, what it means, it's all the same globally. And as far as trademarks, similar, the process, the timeline, the specific place that you'll file is different. But the reason for doing it, the benefits that you get, the problems that it can prevent by trademarking are the same globally. And as far as entities, every country have their own types of entities. The differences between having one, not having one is similar globally for why you would want to have an entity pretty much.
Okay, perfect. I guess I'm gonna cover off your contracts that you templates that you have on your website in a few questions later, but with regards to those, would they be something that someone could use from Australia and then just Word and then schedule you for a one-to-one session and then just get you to check? Is that something that you could offer our audience
Basically, what
service-wise?
I do with contract templates, that is a separate it's not a legal service, it's just like a separate digital product that people can
Yeah,
purchase, and people can purchase that from anywhere. I have had Australian businesses use them as well,
yeah,
pretty much from all different countries. Usually what I say, and this goes for anyone, even if you're in the US, that these templates are basically a great starting point. They're a cost-effective way to get legal protection without having to hire a lawyer to custom draft all these contracts one-on-one for you, because that's probably
mhm,
gonna cost at least 1,000 on, like, a low estimate, but maybe more because 'cause they're gonna charge their hourly rate. But these are much cheaper than that. But the only thing is, the reason why I provide templates is because under where I'm licensed, I can only draft contracts, review, or edit contracts for business owners that are in New York, where I'm licensed. So it's also like a way to provide cost-effective legal help without hiring someone, because if you do wanna take these, I always say they're great for especially when you're just starting out, because they're better than anything that you can find, like, Googling online or
yeah,
not using one at all. And then you can either decide to customize it for yourself and use it, or if you do want someone to look it over, I usually just recommend finding a local lawyer that might be able to review it, and then in that, it might cost a lot less than them actually drafting it for you,
yeah,
and because it also depends on, like, what kind of business you have, so mine are drafted specifically for, like, the online business owner, whereas, as you said before, a lot of other lawyers are, like, don't understand anything when it comes to, like, the online business world, so that's why, like, the templates are great to provide, but yeah, as far as that, I can only help businesses in New York directly.
perfect. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think, like you say, it's good to have something because I know for myself when I started out, I was just looking at other policies. For example, my very first business was a business called Pet Stay Advisor, which was like the TripAdvisor for pets. But anyways, I went into TripAdvisor and I just literally just looked at their privacy policy and just copied it down and just rejigged it. And I was like, oh, okay, that'll have to do. But it's the sort of things that we get into hot water for, isn't it, as startups, is really just borrowing other people's privacy policies. I guess that comes down to question two. So when you start your journey as an entrepreneur and someone's got the desire to take their hobby to a professional business level now, they're trying to get serious now. So I guess from that, where would you take it? Like, what would you recommend they do from a legal perspective with regards to protecting themselves?
Yeah, so usually this is really depends on what avenue you're looking to go into. So I have different things. Like if you are an online service-based business, usually the first thing you're doing is trying to get clients. As far as legal, I say that your first priority really is to get that one-on-one client contract or contract template. That way you're protected from the start. And you can even have that first client like verbally commit to you, so then you know that, like, you're gonna get that money, then you go buy the template, customize it, send it out to that client, get paid back, for the people that are, like, bootstrapping their business, and then it really depends if you are starting a product business, your first priority might be more so of, looking into at least trademarks, because you don't wanna name your product or spend all this money on products and branding for everything. Same with brick and mortar. If your name is not something that you can trademark in your country, if someone else already has it or has something that's like too similar in the same kind of like area, like product area or goods and services area, because you don't want to put all that money into something that you can then you'll just get like potentially a cease and desist letter. So it really depends on like what you're starting with. Usually overall, I say to people that like if they're not really sure about the legal, one, of course, like a lawyer on Instagram and stuff will have a lot of like free educational information and stuff. And then also, if they can, I usually say that the best place is if they don't know what legal they should be prioritizing, to speak with a lawyer and get a roadmap for you. Like, people come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I'm starting this business." And I'll say, "Okay, you need a client contract right now. Then after you're creating XYZ, or you've been in business for 6 months, let's talk about what type of business entity we're gonna set up. And then after that, let's talk about filing your trademark." Depending on what they say to me about what they wanna do, what products, services, all kind of stuff, I say, "Okay, then this is your priority." That way you have an idea of how to budget. Maybe I'll tell you, "Oh, you don't need to trademark that because maybe you're using your name as your business, or you really don't know if you wanna stick with it. You don't see yourself using that name in 3 years, and why spend money on trademarking it?" So that's why if you can get that individual just one consultation with kind of a roadmap, that is usually gonna be, the most cost effective way.
Yeah, perfect. Is that the service that you provide when it's Pick Your Legal Brain on your website? Yeah,
Yes.
as a
Mhm.
roadmap? Okay, perfect, yes. Kelly, I think I've got a banner here that, we can pop up with your, website address. So yeah, so Kelly's got a website which is kellyjonеslaw.com. She's got lots of great services under there and a lot of freebies to download. If anyone wants to hop across there after the live and have a look, you'll see that she's got a service that's Pick Her Legal Brain. So if you need a roadmap, that's a really good place to start, I'd say. So yeah, so if you could give us some examples of what new business owners absolutely need in place, I guess we've really covered that, haven't we, at the very start. With relation to this, I think for me it was more about when you start out, should we be going LLC immediately? And in Australia, it's Pty Limited company, or should we be testing the fact that this business model actually works first before we go all in and start paying? Because I've done that before with my previous companies, gone all in and paid for all this plastic in Australia and everything, and I just wasted a whole heap of money on something that really didn't pan out.
You should definitely be doing market research, making sure that it's something that you are going to be able to continue and sell. But I also the best information really to give, not specific legal advice because I can't give that, but the best information is to think about the risk level of the business that you are starting. Because, for example, a social media coach is not going to have the same amount of risk as an esthetician, because an esthetician, someone's putting stuff on your face. If someone has some allergic reaction and their skin starts burning, they're probably going to be like more upset and wanting to sue you more than if your Instagram didn't grow quick enough. So that's what you really have to think about. My general rule usually is that I don't really think you need to be operating without a business entity. If you are like 6 months to a year into your business, maybe it's time to think about it. I'll start treating it more like a business and get your things in place. But if you have that higher risk type of business or products or something like that, then maybe that's where you have to think about getting that even sooner, and business
Yeah.
insurance as well.
Business insurance, okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm just checking the live to see if we've got any questions coming in, but we will do a Q&A at the end. I've got a friend, he's a wellness coach, and this was one of her biggest concerns in her business is how to protect herself, because she's suggesting health. And so is that the same as level of risk? I'm not going to ask for your legal advice here, but is that kind of a similar level of risk? Where would you say she would start in that particular business as a health coach?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a higher risk than the social media
Yeah,
type of business that's not gonna really affect your health directly. And also just with a health coach can say 70 million times that they're not giving you health and nutrition advice and they're not
yeah,
in place of a doctor. But if something goes wrong, they're still probably, or at least sometimes, gonna blame you, even if
yeah,
it had nothing to do with you.
yeah,
So just because of the potential of things that could happen,
yeah,
makes it a little bit more on the risky side. Maybe not
yeah.
like as risky as other some businesses, but still
Yeah.
more risky than a lot of other online businesses. So definitely some type of protection sooner than later is best for those kind of businesses.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a minefield because, like, I've in the past, which is why I started the Skinny Startup, with shiny object syndrome, jumping from different course to different course. I've launched my own business previously, just paying a web developer and all that sort of stuff. And then I went from that to SBA, like Amazon fulfillment by Amazon. And then it was, do you sell children's toys? What if a child swallows a tiny object? Are you going to be liable for them like choking or whatever? You've got all these things as an entrepreneur that really concern you. And I guess at the end of the day, if that concerns you, the best thing to do is have an insurance policy, like a legal document, isn't it? I would imagine, or structure your company so that it's separate from your assets or something
Yeah.
like that, I would say.
Exactly. I usually say, like, basically, they're just like, additional layers of protection. Really,
Mm.
all legal is additional layers of protections. The more protection that you have layered is just the more peace of mind that you can have just in case the worst happens. Because everyone wants to
Yeah,
think, "Oh, it's not gonna happen to them," but it happens to someone, and you don't wanna
yeah.
be them.
No, and we're such a litigious society nowadays as well, it seems. Like everyone's trying to see someone else. Yeah, it's always a
Yeah.
worry. Yes, thank you for that. Question 4 is how often and when is it ideal for the business owner to review their structure? I think we've covered that off with the kind of your roadmap and the 6 months. Would you have anything else to add to that, particularly that question that we
Um
haven't already covered?
Really just if something big were to happen and you didn't already have an entity, like you started hiring employees or started having more assets or taking on something else, then maybe you need to reevaluate and see if there's a better way to protect yourself.
Nice. Okay, thank you for that. It's all these things that I love that when you're answering, I'm thinking, I didn't even think of that. And that's why we need you and your services. So for sure. How important is it to have disclaimers on your, for example, sales funnels? Like some people don't even have websites. They just have an email list or sales funnels or things like that. How important is it to have that?
It's definitely pretty important to have everything that you need on your website, like that kind of compliance. Disclaimers, yes. Website terms of use, which sometimes your disclaimers will be in that document, and your privacy policy on your website. And that's really any site, even if it's just your like your free opt-in kind of page, really just anything because it just is another layer pretty much to protect you because those terms, those disclaimers are really like it's your kind of basically your contract with visitors of your website. And then your privacy policy is just required by law. And that's really no matter where you are, because a lot of countries have their own privacy laws. And even if you don't live in those countries, you still have to abide by them because, like, for example, the EU or parts of the European Union have some of the strictest privacy laws, but we, even Australia and the US, have to comply with them because we might have people from the EU visiting our website. Just by nature of that, we have to. And it's essentially like you're supposed to have it if you're collecting some type of information, which most people are at least collecting an email, if not payment information and stuff as well. But even if you aren't collecting email, your website is 99% of websites are collecting cookies at this point, which is also counts as personal information. Pretty much every website should have a privacy policy, any page that you have. So those are important also because you just don't want to take that risk of you being the one that gets caught not complying with those privacy laws.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And with regards to if you're an affiliate and you're sending out emails to your potential leads, you have to have disclaimers to say that you are getting in commissions from that. How does that work? I know you do some affiliate kind of marketing in your space as well, don't you, with regards to the tools that you use? And same here, I've got certain tools that I love to use, and I like to be able to have the affiliate kind of relationship with them. Is that important to have that in your conversations?
Yes, it definitely depends what laws to you might have to comply with. So I believe Australia has their own, and I believe that have been I believe they might be, like, somewhat similar to the US from what I remember last looking at, which is basically, like, you have to disclose pretty much that you are an affiliate or that you're getting commission for it, whatever kinda thing you want. So in the US, it's the Federal Trade Commission that kinda, like, oversees that. I just have on my website, I have a page that's separate just for my affiliate stuff, different I think I have Dubsado and other tools that I use there
Yeah.
that just automatically give you, like, affiliate codes when you're using them,
Yeah.
and I just have pretty much the sentences from the FTC, just exactly what they tell you that you have to put. I just have it on the bottom and a thing that just says like this, "These are affiliates," and that's also can be part of your disclaimers either on the bottom of your website in your terms of use, or even if you're sharing something on social media, it can be in your Instagram caption or on your story. But yeah, that is something that is definitely I know I've seen recent things in the news in both the US and Australia on governments wanting to, I think, start cracking down on the whole affiliate, influencer, all that kind of marketing. So it's definitely a good idea to get in the habit of always making sure you're complying.
To review. It's a good time to review after this conversation, Kelly. That's for sure. But yeah, it's some gold information here. And if you happen to be watching the replay, if you just want to hashtag replay in there and just let us know if you've got any questions after the live. I'm happy to pass them on to Kelly. I'm sure she'll be happy to reply and give us a response on those. So let's talk about long-term business goals. I guess we've really covered this, how we can protect our intellectual property. You talked about the trademarking. I just want to add on to what we've already discussed with regards to using your own name. You don't have to trademark. Is that correct? If you were selling a product, for example, on Amazon and it was your name?
I wouldn't say you don't have to,
Hmm.
but it might not be your first priority. It depends on your name, of course. It might not be your first priority as if you were like in comparison to a different type of name, just because
Hmm.
um, your name might be more unique, that a copycat might not be popping up as quickly as with something that's business extreme accelerator type of thing that could potentially
Yeah.
have a copycat much sooner.
Yeah. And for example, like logos, I went to the whole rabbit hole of trademarking a logo. And I laugh now because it was so hilarious. My first ever business, so green. And I went and paid a massive amount for this person to create a logo for me in his local business. And they actually got it from clip art I found in the end. And I actually went through the process of trying to trademark this most hideous logo. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna show it on the Facebook Skinny Startup at some point because it's just one of these learning curves that you go through as you go through your startup journey. But with logos and things like that, you see the TM and all that sort of stuff. Is that essential if you're, for example, a coach, or is it just something really that if you're like a brand like Nike or something like that? How important is the trademarking of your logo?
First, I generally say that the most important thing that you're gonna trademark is probably not your logo. That's maybe the second or third priority or however far, because I would always say that trademarking the words themselves are the most important, whether that's your brand name. Really, the your trademark is gonna protect your brand. It's gonna give you ownership over your brand. So, what it depends on your business, what the most important parts of your brand are. For some people, it's their business name. Some people, it might be like a slogan that they use. Some people, it might be their podcast name or their online course name. So, those things can, for coaches, a lot of times it's either their brand name that they're trademarking, or more likely it's their one of their program names or their course name. And that's because when you trademark it, you get ownership over not only those words that you're trademarking, but also anything that is similar that could cause confusion if someone else were to try to trademark something similar to that. You trademark it in connection with your specific goods or services. You don't have a monopoly on those words for absolutely anything, but you have protection in the area that you're trademarking in, maybe like marketing, educational material, like course material for marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, social media, that kind of stuff. And let's say you had, let's say it was social business academy or something. Now, you'd want to protect that because you don't want someone else popping up, another coach calling something either social business academy or maybe like social business school for the same things. Because then people online, they might get a little confused. Maybe is it her course? Is it her course? Which are they the same? Are they together? So there could potentially be brand confusion. And that's what having your trademark prevents because then that other person is for social business school, their trademark, if they try to file a trademark and you have it, theirs is not going to get through. And if they don't try to file one, you can send them a cease and desist and tell them to stop because you have ownership of it. Whereas if you don't, then let's say you didn't register and the other person does, then they're the one that potentially has the ownership and can either try to get you to stop or it'll cost a lot of money where you'll be fighting over it pretty much. So that is
Wow.
essentially why you want to trademark because you wanna get to it first, basically.
Yeah, that's a really amazing point that I've not even thought about. The fact that we go out and we create these courses and on our names, and we just feel bulletproof in some ways that we've just started using them and we're going to be protected because we're using them. But I never thought of the fact that someone could then just start up a business similar to mine and then just say, you've got to stop now, because that's basically your whole business gone, isn't it? If you can rebrand, but to build that rapport up again with all your clients and the services that you produce, that would be quite devastating to your business. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, I usually
Yeah.
ask people 3 questions. One, is it a name, whatever part of your brand, is it a name that you see yourself using for the foreseeable future? A year, 2 years, 5 years? Because if it's not, if you're gonna change it or it's temporary, then there's no point in spending the time or money doing it. That's the
Mm.
first question. Then, would you be upset if someone else had your name? And then 3, would you be upset if someone else forced you to rebrand, having to rebrand your whole name? And then if yes, if you would be upset if a copycat popped up or if they forced you to rebrand, then okay, then it's time to think about a trademark.
Yeah, because there's so many opportunities online to just, like, I teach people to go out and find domains and that sort of stuff. And you think, well, there's so many alternates nowadays to the social media names and the domain names that someone could just start up a business very similar to yours tomorrow or an hour from now. It's that simple nowadays, isn't it? To just start a business online, really.
Yeah.
And I know you cover some of that as well in your website, don't you? Talk about, are you in it for the long term, like you say, and you starting your business and yeah, roadmaps and things. So yeah, I guess that kind of leads us to, should we be thinking about an exit strategy if we're an online business at any point? How do we form or position ourselves legally to, say, for example, if I wanted to then on sell or my company later on down the track, or what
Yeah.
kind of exit strategies would you recommend we gear
So
ourselves to?
so that's also one benefit of having your trademarks because they're one of your biggest assets for your brand. So a lot of times if you do, let's say down the line, want to sell your business, a lot of people look for that you have your trademarks because they want to see that you own those parts of your brand. So that's a big thing for why you'd wanna have that. And then also really just be thinking, and maybe in the way you even name things as well. Maybe instead of naming your brand after just yourself, or that is your only part of your brand, have something that's outside of your name as well, because if you were to sell, this doesn't happen as much maybe in online businesses. It really depends on the brand, but you don't want the whole brand surrounded just by your legal name because if you're gonna sell that, then you wanna think about, do you wanna sell your name, or then they're gonna have to rebrand it, but then that changes the business. Maybe someone doesn't want a huge business if they have to then rebrand it. So this happens a lot with people that are in, like, the fashion industry and stuff, because then if someone else get buys their business, they're essentially also buying their name, so then they're left without being able to use their own legal name. So that's just something really that goes along with the whole theme of the legal, which is being proactive and thinking about the future pretty much of your business, even if it's, like, things that you don't think you might need now.
Which is the perfect kind of segue into really going back to the roadmap, isn't it, of coming to you first and getting that proper roadmap in place so you've got that vision because you've got the vision and hindsight and experience that we don't have. So you're the person that can say, "Okay, have you thought about that?" Whereas we probably haven't as entrepreneurs. We're working as startups in the business more than on the business initially, aren't we? We're just trying to hustle for clients and work out our offer and things like that. So we noticed on your website that you mentioned a flat fee, no surprises, no BS, which is refreshing. You must have like the stigma of being a lawyer with regards to you always think of lawyers as these high-powered people in suits ready to mash you through court and take everything you've got kind of thing. So I guess where did you come up with this no flat fee, no surprises, no BS? Is it something that you found as a pain point or a blocker with dealing
Um
with entrepreneurs?
Yes, I don't know how it is in Australia, but in the US for attorneys, a lot of them, a lot of legal areas, they charge hourly, and it's not really, some of it might be upfront, like an upfront retainer, but then the rest of it is just like the clients will get a bill at the end of each month with all these tallies of all these hours, and you'll be like, "You charged me like $200 for a 6-minute phone call?" So and that's like a big stigma that all lawyers are lumped together, known for these crazy, outrageous fees and, like, all these hours on stuff. I have my trademarks just as one flat fee package. You pay upfront, and that's everything, even for your communication for the entire next year that it takes to get the trademark, because first of all, you're all entrepreneurs just like me, so I know that no one wants hourly billing and, like, $100 for a 6-minute phone call. It's all just one fee. You're never gonna be surprised about it, so, yeah.
Amazing. I've got a few friends that are in the e-commerce space but live in Australia. If they wanted a trademark, but they're selling in the US, so they're selling on Amazon or Etsy in the US, but they live in Australia, would they be able to engage you for your trademark service?
Yes. If you are not in the US, you actually have to file with an attorney. If you are in the US, it's definitely recommended to use an attorney, but it's not a requirement. But if you're out of the US and want to file in the US, you do need a US attorney to represent you. So I do
Oh,
have
nice.
some clients that are outside of the US as well.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. For example, even for names and things, you could help trademark for those as well, or is it just e-commerce? Yeah,
Anything pretty much.
anything. Nice.
I've represented many different kinds of businesses for trademark.
Good to know. You've got a business mentorship program. What is it and how can anyone who's interested enroll?
Yeah, so that is mainly just one-on-one business. I find that a lot of new clients sometimes come in with legal. They come to me for the legal, but then they end up having a ton of other business stuff, and they're like, "I want ongoing help," and then they'll need help with other things, whether it's marketing on social media or something else like overall business strategy or creating a business plan for everything and a timeline of all the things and their offers and stuff. Pretty much that is just customized based on if they come to me and want that kind of support, if they realize that it's actually more than the legal that they're seeking.
To enroll, do they just come to your website and fill out the contact form? Is that the best way to get hold of you?
Yes, and then I get back to them quickly.
Nice. Okay, awesome. So I've just got a little overview of some of the stuff. Anyone who's here either on the replay or now and interested to go in and have a look at Kelly's website because there is a lot there and some of the services and the free resources that I've listed here. I didn't know if you wanted to just go through.
Probably just that the free resources are definitely a great place to start. A legal cheat sheet breaks down really more of just the legal stuff. And then the business starter checklist covers a couple other business priorities for online business owners, but also the legal stuff as well. And then the tools I use.
I did download your business starter checklist because I was really interested because I have one of my own, but mine's completely different because I'm coming from the technical side. I felt like that yours really complemented. So I will definitely be directing people to yours with regards to just the marketing and just whether you've got a market for the business and things like that. You've covered that off and your niche and things, and I really haven't covered that. I've gone straight into the guts of, okay, this is the practical, logical side, which is the IT person in me. I've now pulled up some information on where we can find you, and the first place, of course, is go in and have a look at Kelly's website at kellyjoneslaw.com. And do you prefer people to reach out to you on Instagram? Or,
Yeah, Instagram or email, really
mhm,
whatever they prefer.
cool. Okay. And the Instagram is Lawyer Kelly and an underscore at the end. To find Kelly there and follow her because I'm sure you probably post lots of good stuff and freebies and things up there for your followers.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. And then the email address as well is kelly at kellyjoneslaw.com.
That's
Um,
fine.
yeah, but I think we're good with questions for now. But if any come through later, because like I say, this has been so amazing to have the information that you've come with. And just from the questions that I had, that I'd seen entrepreneurs struggle with, you've brought so much more into it as well to think about. Definitely have a look at Kelly's free resources and her checklist, a legal cheat sheet. If you need to pick her legal brain, set up a strategy call for your roadmap, and then you can go from there, guys. I hope this has been of benefit to you because it's been amazing. I've had some really gold nuggets here this morning with information that I really didn't even think about. And did you have anything else that you wanted to add that I hadn't covered with my questions at all, Kelly?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and we'll keep in touch for sure. I'm going to be picking your legal brain soon, so watch out.
Awesome. Yeah,
All
definitely.
right. Okay.
Thank you so much for
All right.
having me.
Have a wonderful day. All right. You take care.
You
Okay.
too. Bye.
Bye.